There we go. Time for our favorite and my mother's favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. And as promised, we will cut to the chase with Michael Burns. Mike Burns, how are you doing today?
Greg, I'm doing great. Glad to be with you again on Cut to the Chase. It's been a little while. I think it's been since early morning and late January since we've been back on. And, we've been on a roll with 3M Combat Arm earplugs in 2022. We're 4 for 5 in the cases that we've tried against 3M. This year so far, we've taken them for $168 million in 4 cases. So we're looking forward to going at them again, starting next week, Monday, April the 18th, over in Gainesville, Florida, in front of Judge Steve Gimberg. Out of the Middle District of Georgia, out of Atlanta, and recent appointee to the bench back in 2018. So we'll be trying that case in front of him with Doug Mansour out of Texas, John Quinn, who actually handled the whistleblower case in 3M and Brian Ailstock. So we'll be looking forward to kicking that one off with the plaintiff, U.S. Army soldier Jonathan Vaughn. And then we take another one on May the 9th back in Pensacola in front of Judge Rogers with James Bill, and Brian Ailstock will be heading up that team again. So we're looking forward to getting back into action and getting some more victories for our clients, plaintiffs here against 3M and the 3M Combat Arms earplugs cases.
That's pretty much a comprehensive breakdown, but it's a lot of information. So I'm going to want to break it down just a little further, kind of put the pieces back together. Some people are out there, they're like, what's going on with the case? There's so many trials. I keep seeing things in the paper. What does this all mean? And all that. They're trying to reach it. Maybe they have an attorney. They can't get in touch with their attorney. So that's the purpose of that. All right. Now we're talking 4 victories and 5 losses altogether. There have been 9 cases that have been tried.
Excuse me, 4 wins out of the last 5 cases. So
yeah, okay. So let's start from the beginning. How many cases have been tried so far?
Right at 20 cases have been tried so far, and I think we are either 14 and 5 or 14 and 6 is what it is. And this may be coming up to the 20th case. So this will make 20 cases.
All right. So 14 of the plaintiffs or the veterans that have filed lawsuits have actually had their cases tried and they prevailed. They won.
Right.
And then 4, 5 or 6 have lost.
That's correct.
All right. Correct. And are any of these cases being appealed?
One case is under appeal right now, and that's by the defendants. That's the first case, which was a consolidated case, EHK, and that was Estes, Hacker, and Kiefer. And that was the first trial that we tried back in March of 2021 in front of Judge Rogers. That was the very first case.
Are you following that appeal? Is there anything significant about that appeal that would apply to everything, or is that just kind of limited to that case?
That's limited to that case, but the defendants filed that case in the 11th Circuit, and I want to say that was filed last month. That was when that was due. I think we're going to be successful in defending that appeal. Mike Saquette, who's on leadership and law and briefing out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, has done an excellent job on the briefing for that case for the 11th Circuit. And if there is oral arguments, he'll argue that case for us in front of the 11th Circuit. Outstanding lawyer, and he actually was one of the trial lawyers in the Brandon Atkins case, which was I want to say that was maybe the 3rd or 4th case that we won and got a verdict for $8.4 million in that particular case.
All right, so this is probably like our 5th or 6th podcast that we've done on this whole topic of 3M, these earplugs. All these cases, 250,000 or so. How many cases are filed approximately?
Over 280,000 cases were on
280. And it's not too late. So if there's somebody out there, all right, maybe you didn't even know about this and you're like, or maybe all of a sudden you're like, wow, my hearing is bad. I didn't even realize it.
And it's interesting to say that, Greg, because a couple lawyers got with me just a week or 2 ago, and they had just started a new campaign, and one of them had gotten 73 new cases, and the other one had gotten, I want to say 41 new cases. So that was 110 new cases that have been filed just by those two lawyers in the last month.
Is there a hard deadline, which, January 2023, no more cases can come in, or is it all dependent upon certain factors?
Well, a good friend of mine that's a good plaintiff's lawyer told me, when's the best time to plant a tree? And he said 20 years ago. When's the next best time to plant a tree? And that's today. So there is no hard and fast deadline. But yes, you want to get out there. If you need some help, reach out to Greg, myself, any of the lawyers on leadership. Be glad to help you, and look forward to represent you in this case against 3M and the Combat Arms earplugs. If you wore these plugs between 2003 and 2015, you're active duty military or reserves, reach out to us. You can Google us. You can Google Greg. You can Google myself, and we'll be glad to help you and glad to represent you in these cases against 3M.
Now, my mom would be, and my girlfriend would be, both would be very upset at me because I really didn't give you a proper introduction. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your bio link and I'm going to put it in the show notes. So anybody that wants to see, who you are, get in touch with you, see how great a guy you are. I mean, you're looking great. I got to tell you, you're looking great.
Thanks, Greg.
And, so, I mean, that's all I can say is the information will be there. All right, back to cut to the chase. So we had our last episode about 3 months ago. And then since then, we've had how many cases tried? Just
Since
been
that
two?
time, we've had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we tried 3 more cases since those. We just came off 2 wins in late January. I want to say it was around the 27th of January. That was Ronald Sloan and William Wayman. In those 2 cases, we won $110 million, $55 million to both of those. The next case that we tried would have been, we had Stephen Wilkerson and Luke Vilsmeyer. Stephen Wilkerson, we won $8 million in that case. Luke Vilsmeyer, we won $50 million in that case. And then the one we took a hit on was Denise Kelly. It was a great case, and it came back with a defense verdict, so we didn't get any money on that case. But what's really interesting about that case, Greg, is we talked to the jury after the trial. Judge Barber out of Tampa, the Middle District of Florida, tried that case for us up in Pensacola. The jury said, number 1, that 3M had a defective product. Number 2, they misrepresented themselves to the soldiers and the U.S. military. They committed fraud in doing so. And if they could have proved that the hearing loss that Denise suffered was cause, or a cause was the defective earplugs, they would have hammered 3M, both for compensatory damages, her actual damages and future medicals, as well as punitive damages. They did not like 3M's behavior. And so Judge Barber, after the case, he had 3M's representatives in the courtroom along with their lawyers. He said, look, you need to take this back to the people in Minneapolis and let them know what this jury just said, because they don't like your behavior. And we got more cases coming. As you know, we have 2 more cases in the Bellwether case. And then Judge Rogers has started another process of wave cases where there's going to be at least another 500 cases that are getting prepped for trial right now.
All right. So I know all the audience has been listening, taking notes and digesting all this information, for the entirety of the time that we have been discussing this. And you consistently mentioned Judge Rogers, and she's been tried all the cases, but now you're mentioning a judge from Gainesville. And so I'd like you to explain, how does this happening? Is the judge starting to send some of these cases to other judges? How did this happen that we have a new judge?
We have Judge Rogers is the judge over the MDL, or the multi-district litigation, and what she did to keep things moving during this COVID era, she brought in other judges from around the state of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia to help her try these cases. So we've actually had, I want to say, 5 other judges help Judge Rogers try these 20 plus bellwether cases. So she's tried close to 12 to 15. And then we've had Judge Walker, who is the chief judge of the Northern District of Florida. He's tried 2 or 3 cases, and we've won every single case that we've tried in front of Judge Walker.
Wow.
She's brought in Judge Gimbert on this particular case to be first one for him. She brought in Judge Moore out of the Southern District of Florida down there by you. And then she brought in Judge Barber from Tampa, and then Judge Burke from the Northern District of Alabama. So as well as Judge Windsor from over in Tallahassee as well. So she's brought in about 6 other judges to help her with these particular cases. And she's found them out. Judge Walker's gotten the most. He's the chief judge. He's gotten 3 of the cases. And like I said, we've won every case that we've been in front of Judge Walker, 22 million, 13 million, 8 million in front of Judge Walker, and done well in other cases over here. We do really well when we have soldiers that have both hearing loss and tinnitus. So if you're suffering from both hearing loss and tinnitus, make sure you reach out to Greg or myself or one of the lawyers that are involved in this litigation so we can help you and against 3M.
All right. So you talked about Denise King, you said, what was her last name?
Denise Kelly.
Kelly. Okay. So her case, 3M wins. Right. And you were referencing that you talked to the jury afterwards. So, I mean, a lot of people that might be listening to the show, maybe they were on a jury and they were told that they didn't have to talk to the lawyers after and they can just walk away. Some people actually get approached and they do want to talk to the lawyers. And oftentimes it causes chaos because they say something that's completely off the chart. Like in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, I think that whole thing's going to get thrown out because maybe even more than one of the jurors was up to no good. But so explain what happened. Like, how did you guys sit with the jury? Like, let's explain what happened with that.
Sure, and you're absolutely right, Greg. This is a very unique opportunity that most lawyers don't get the opportunity to meet with the jury after the trial. And in this particular case and previous cases, not all of them, but in a lot of them, so at least some of the cases, Judge Rogers, Judge Walker, and in this case, Judge Barber, go back and talk to the jury and ask the jury if they would like to talk to the lawyers about the case. Judge Barber conducts the conversation, but we all sit there in the courtroom, and sometimes we just pull up a chair and we have a conversation back and forth with the jury about what they liked about the trial, what they didn't like, which witnesses they liked, what they didn't like, whether they like live witnesses versus video depositions, how they viewed the expert witness in the case. Did they think the trial went too long? Should it have been longer? Should it have been shorter? So great feedback for the lawyers. And even in this case, great feedback for the clients. It helps us know, like, hey, we need to steer away from this one right here. Maybe we need to tweak our case a little bit more on specific causation, as what did actually cause the injury. Was it an IED, an explosion? Was it mortar shells? Was it from the firing range? Kind of focusing on that a little bit more in this particular case. Whether we focus on the audiograms from the client, whatever it may be. But at the same time, 3M learned something in this case. Hey, you may have won the case, got a 0 verdict against the plaintiff, but let me just warn you, if we would have found specific causation, we would have put it on you, because we don't like your behavior. We know your product's defective. We know you misrepresented yourself to the military and you sold this product knowing that it was defective. So they learned a little bit too, just like we did. And so we just got to tighten it up a little bit, get ready to go again on April the 18th. I've already been working on the case because of course it's next Monday, and we're looking to pick a good jury and go at it again.
All right. So you mentioned that when the jury basically said, hey, we were going to rule against 3M, except that you didn't prove that whatever hearing issues they had were caused by the defective nature of the earplug. The purpose of that was multiple reasons, one of which was to basically show 3M that, hey, you did win, but you know what, nobody really likes you. And now you have when I say you, the corporate you, and now you have all these other trials coming up. So what can you say about, because I know settlement, you don't want to tip your hat or whatever, but what is it, can you talk about, is there settlement talks? Is there a settlement negotiator appointed? What can you share with the audience?
I can, and I think this is very helpful as to settlement, you know. So they got a win and zero win, but they also know that their behavior is going to get punished for again if we have another good trial going against them. So we have a settlement team that's working closely together. Brian Ailstock's on that team as well, who's the lead counsel on this. Justin Wicken, you know Justin's with his firm. Chris Seegers out of Seeger Weiss, and then Judge Falk, Mark Falk, who's out of New Jersey. He was the magistrate judge for up to 20-something years up that way, and Judge Rogers knows him. That they came into, he became a magistrate about the same time that Judge Rogers became a federal judge. So she's appointed him along with Ellen Reisman out of DC to put together settlement talks, and we've been having ongoing settlement talks with 3M, and we're hoping that they're looking forward to start dancing with us, and so that we can get these cases resolved for the soldiers that have served their country so honorably over the from that period of time, 2003 to 2015. So hopefully we can get a settlement, and I think these bellwether cases have done exactly what Judge Rogers hoped they would do. Get 3M to understand that this product is defective. They misrepresented themselves, and we need to resolve this issue for these soldiers throughout the country.
So it sounds like there's a two-pronged approach here. Settlement discussions, and we're going, and the judge says we're going forward as if there's no settlement. We're not going to wait
exactly
and hope that the settlement transpires.
Correct. And so that's what we look forward. She's put together another group of cases, another 500 cases that she's had us work those cases up. So we'll be working those cases up. It's got an 8-month discovery process there. We had to disclose our experts on Monday, April the 11th. So we're working our way through that, setting the medical examinations for these soldiers going forward, and we're setting depositions in those in that next wave of cases, and then Judge Rogers decide whether or not she sends those back to the federal courts, and where that jurisdiction may be proper to try those cases in toward the latter part of this year, beginning part of 2023.
All right. So what have you tallied up the total amount of money that's been awarded against 3M for all the trial victories?
Wow. No, Greg, off the top of my head, I don't, but I want to say that it's approaching $200 million.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So you get you lose 6 cases, but you still have a $200 million penalty, payment
So
you got to make. I don't know if
you tried 20 cases and you got $200 million. So the average is, $10 million a case.
All right. So
$20 million a case.
Realistically speaking, let's say these cases do not settle. What's going to happen?
Well, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have good lawyers, and we put together good teams, and we're going to keep putting together some type of trial in the box, so that we have the general causation cases, and then help the lawyers throughout the country that have these cases, where they can prepare their client, and all they have to do is have their audiologist and their ENT that prepares their clients. And so they're responsible for their client. We'll get all the general causation and the experts to prove the general case. They'll pursue the specific case with their client and put it together so that we can present a real succinct trial in courtrooms all over the country if it comes to that. And that's what we do.
I mean, but you're talking, if they just say, hey, we're not going to settle any case, go for it. We're talking a decade worth of trials all over the country.
Let's hope not, but I'm telling you what, you got to be ready to win, and you got to be ready to go to battle. And I think we have great lawyers all over the country that are representing these soldiers. We're on the right side on this one, Craig. And they had a defective product. It was too short, too fat for insertion, and it didn't protect the soldier like they claimed it did. It didn't provide the safety that they claimed it did. Hearing loss is preventable, and 3M could have prevented this tragedy by just telling the truth to the US government, telling the truth to the US military. They hid that fact for 15 years. For 15 years, they hid that fact from the US military. And you see that in the document called the Flange Report. That's why they were punished by the Department of Justice, and they entered into a fine, and that's what started this litigation. And that's what's going to be helpful next week when we try this case. John Quinn, like I said, he was the one of the lawyers involved in the whistleblower case against 3M that got all of this rolling. So it's going to be nice to have John at the table and arguing this case in front of a jury over in Gainesville, Florida, and we look forward to taking on 3M again.
All right. So listen, I think that's a lot of information for everybody, and it's an excellent update. I thank you tremendously. You know, you're actually helping me get an update on, you know, all the cases that I'm responsible for. So I appreciate that. And we're going to bring you back in a couple of, at the next critical juncture, victories, settlement, whatever it is. All right.
Sounds great, Greg. Always great to be on Cut to the Chase. Make sure you tell our favorite friend, your mom, I said hello.
I will do. All right. You stay safe and healthy. All right. And we'll be back, soon. So everybody, that's it. That's the update. So go out and enjoy life. That's it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. Remember, subscribe, rate, and review. Go to Apple Podcasts, look for Cut to the Chase, : you're going to see show notes here. I'm going to give you some information about Mike. Fascinating guy, great guy. You should at least know who you're listening to, right? And that's it, folks. So take care.
Thanks, Greg.